Good morning, everybody. At least that's watching this live. Good afternoon, evening, or if you are watching this back at a later time. I was unable to do my later night stream last night. I generally try to do a like 10 p.m. on Tuesday, Thursdays. Um, and so to make that up to you, I'm going to do a nice early one today. So we got a pretty exciting day as it is the end of the month. It is the end of the quarter, and we tend to get a new batch of information as those time frames come to a close. So, what can we anticipate out of Ethereum? Even big, obviously Bitcoin, the rest of the market as well. Magic and Max will be covering Bitcoin later this morning on Magic's channel. So be sure to tune in for that. And as far as Ethereum goes, you got a couple of interesting things to note here. So I've got a couple levels marked out on my chart. Obviously, we still got the untapped yearly pivot up here, which is, within reach. I think this is about 12% from where we are now, 11%. So that is the next major target to the upside. And in my opinion, obviously, we got some local highs here and things of that nature. At the moment, we're holding our weekly pivot from this week, our weekly open, which have both been pretty key throughout the last few days here. Down below, I've identified the monthly open for March. So that'll soon switch to previous month open as we open up April here shortly. And then I've got an untapped weekly pivot. The only reason I really just kind of bring that up, this is an old, from an old session. I think it's 2 weeks ago now. Not to say that that's a major target at the moment, but it does align with some other things, given some confluence. If we were to start losing some areas, that would be an area that would interest me if we come down to it. All right, so one thing, or I guess we'll just go ahead and just jump right into it. We're going to start kind of zooming out from our previous week data, kind of as always here. Okay, so what we have here is a setup that we were looking at actually on Sunday in the member stream. Monday, I brought it up on Forest Cystine Research channel as well. And this is, one of the key trading setups, whether you get it to the downside or to the upside first. But we had our previous week, obviously our previous week high, our previous week low. We had a local gold pocket coming in right around this region. And what we did here was, this was obviously where the week ended. This region kind of came out, boom, come down right to our gold pocket. You effectively swept the previous week low, come back up, got the reclaim right here of that previous week low, key level to basically flip back into support. From there, where we target back up to the previous week val. That's a take profit. Previous week point of control, take profit. We had an untapped weekly pivot at the time, take profit, week open in that region, and then you rotate the range. Really nice, almost, that's terrible brush drawings over it, but really nice setup over the first couple of days of the week there. And then obviously we had a nice little bunch of chop here. As you kind of zoomed into some of the dailies, you could see how we took the previous day high here, came down for some local pockets. So there was just a bunch of, swing scalp day trades essentially in the mix here. But otherwise, what have we been doing? We've just basically been bouncing between the value area high, back down a week open, week pivot, right? This has been pretty key. Our week open this week has also been our previous week EQ of the range. So it's been, just really catching it very well this week. As far as looking at this on a little bit more of a higher time frame, right, when we start to look at March's range now. So March is closing today, obviously. We put in a really, really large, I guess not really large. It's probably like 20%. I mean, it's a pretty decent little gap, I guess, of price action there. And, from low to high, we've actually had some really nice moves. Obviously, this was very similar to what we just saw on the smaller time frame the previous week, right? This was our February low. Came in, did the same things, effectively came through, swung the lows of the previous month, got the reclaim, ran it back. You'll see this on, multiple time frames, time and time again, come out, stop out, traders, the late longs, so to speak, anybody that's trying to get long in this region versus anywhere lower. Stop loss is obviously going to go in that area, come through, stop them out, run it back, and it just goes back and forth, right? The weekly pivot, though, that untapped weekly pivot I mentioned earlier, I've kept it on here because it is basically the range low here for March. We've got the point of control. Unlike Bitcoin, this has actually been back tested. Actually, I think that's the quarterly for Bitcoin, but anyway, we'll take a look at that. But so this is not naked, right? This is just an area to kind of be keep on your mind here if we start making our way down. Got some pretty big areas of volume in this range. You can almost argue that this region up here, would almost be the higher or the equivalent, to to where the point of control should be, I guess is what I'm trying to say, right? So the point of control is just literally the peak, the highest area traded in volume. And we're coming close to almost superseding that up here. So not an area to completely overlook. And we spent a lot of time up here now. Potentially we are going to make our move up to the upside here in April, right? So we are holding at the moment above current week open, current weekly pivot, and the March value area high. We've spent a little time kind of rooting around in this region, but at the moment, right, got back out of the range, holding this as support. So in theory, you're looking to target up towards our next regions here, at least coming through, taking some of these highs and seeing how things progress. I would imagine if we were to come through at this point, and especially coming into next month, that we would get the move up to that pivot once and for all. I've noted this multiple times that this, is not a blindly short the market area, right? This is just a target that in itself, right? So this is the average of price for last year. More than likely, we will come through to it, potentially get a pullback around that region. But to shoot actually through this area, I wouldn't be surprised to see that, right? So we do have our summer high coming in this region. There's a couple other things also that really align nicely here, but that 2000, just a little bit more than that, 2031. I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of pushed up to like 2200-ish, and then potentially got a decent little pullback, right? So and maybe even just back towards the region that we're at now, kind of back test that once again, knock out some late longs, get everybody really excited up in this region. Everybody breaks, we break the 2K level, and maybe everybody piles in and starts trying to long it. And when looking at this too, there was I don't necessarily know who or if you would, but I'm sure somebody somewhere is probably looking at this as like a bull flag in some regard, and that's before that little potential breakout right now. This pretty weak looking break, but so yeah, that takes you up to like I said, like 2200, 2150, and that's just on a really whack bull flag measured move there. But regardless, the 2K region I think is on deck coming up soon here. And one thing that I'd also like to note is that if this area is actually claimed, so in the short term, I would expect something like this. Where we kind of come through, meet this level, take out this high, and then potentially if we come back down and start closing back below the pivot, maybe we come back all the way to this region. Let's just see what a local gold pocket would look like. Takes you all the way back actually to this month open. And I'm just sheer speculation on an idea here, right? Let's get that out the way. Oh, geez. Give him a little text box. There we go. So yeah, sheer speculation, right? Let's just say we swing up, 2200 is met, come back down, basically close back below the 12M. This could potentially line up for a decent little short term. And all we'd be doing at the end of the day still is keeping that uptrend intact, right? So higher high, higher low, potentially a higher high, come all the way back down to that previous month open at that point, right? Because unless that happens today, that'll be, the March open here. I believe that's where we'll take a look at the developing quarter here, because I'm pretty sure that's where the point of control for the quarter is, things of that nature. So that's an idea to some degree if we get up to that region, and then that really only triggers once we lose the pivot again, back test it. So in that same idea there, since we're just being speculative, right, on Speculative Friday here, to see something like this, right, you get that bounce, right, you come back through and we finally come back and actually reclaim this region. I would expect a pretty decent move to the upside, potentially engulfing this whole drop right here, and maybe taking us back up to like 3K potentially in that region. Getting ahead of ourselves there, but just some speculation Friday, right? Some hopium, I guess, to inject into your Friday and the end of March as we come into it. But at the moment, this is what I'd be looking for, looking to see if we swing this region 22-ish, come back, see if we lose it, get a pullback to the local gold pocket previous month, and let's see what else I had lined up there. So once again, that's just a speculative gold pocket that would line up potentially with your developing quarter point of control for now, right? So this quarter that we're in, that is going to end today, lines up, right? So that's just the idea there. Otherwise, taking a look at this quarterly as well while we're here. Just similar to March's range, we do have the price action living outside of it. All right, we spent a little time kind of rooting around back in this region, but we have now broken back out, back tested it, regarded as support. Once again, living above this week's pivot, this week open, and your quarterly value area high. A lot of good volume put in this region, right? So breaking from this area, I would imagine that this a lot of accumulating as it took place, and in this area here. So to get a nice little gassy move to the upside is definitely there. Yeah, so just another kind of stack of confluence, I guess you could say, why I'm targeting a little bit more upside still. We have been living outside these ranges. In the same breath, I suppose, if we start to come through and start losing these regions, once again, you do have to anticipate these lower areas, and it just the range just continues at that point, right? Deviation, rotate the range. Potential deviation, if we start coming back in here, you can rotate the range once again. Another point out to that weekly pivot, it is the quarterly value area low, just like it is with March. Not a really grand target or something that I'm super hyper focused on, but just it stacks confluence with that region down there. But at the moment, I do think that we're going to see at least the move up towards this pivot, and if not that $2,200 region, little swing fail, back down on the point of control potentially, and then continue onward and upward. And that's my strategy at the moment. What I'll be looking for, I guess, a little trading plan. Obviously, there's intraday and weekly trades and opportunities that produce themselves every day and every moment. But that would be more of the swing idea there. All right, about 14 minutes. Just really want to keep this pretty short and sweet. I'll just take a peek. I know, like I said, Magic and Max are going to go through Bitcoin a lot more in detail than I am here. This was just just wanted to, kind of point this out once as well. Not once again, I guess, but a really nice couple of moves here. Max and I went on our members update on Wednesday night. We were discussing this pretty much live, right? This big move came in as we were doing that update right up to 29,200. Max was looking at that as the SFP, and that's exactly what we got. Back test at this quarterly level. You had a gold pocket, came in all the way at the previous week value area low, and once again, just another sick trade, right? So started off the week, swung the weekly low, ran it up, took your week high, ran it back down, rotated the range, gold pocket, value area low bounce. Just clean trading. Like I said, they're going to cover a little bit more in depth later on today. Otherwise, weekly open is a key level we want to see flipped in my book. 27,984. So you want to see that level reclaimed. You got the point of control here coming in this region, our daily open, if that's accurate. I think that was yesterday, actually. Oh, no, that's today. Okay. So yeah, and then Chainlink is another one I just want to take a peek at. So very similar to XRP and a few others. Chainlink has been in this huge range for the better part of a year, right? Going into since April. All right. So we're coming into the full year. I mean, it's April, May, it just depends on how you want to look at it. We're coming in this, to a year of basically consolidation in this region. And don't get me wrong, we've had some pretty impressive swings. You've pretty much left all the highs intact and essentially the lows as well. So very interesting, but very similar to XRP, right? We had this huge consolidation region. You had all this volume taking place right here. And this is one of those times where when this range resolves, it's going to be a decent move. You might not want to fade it, is the term, right? You're not. And obviously there'll be pullbacks along the way, but just aimlessly trying to short every rally, could get a little hurtful. Still targeting the untapped quarterly up above us, which would effectively take out all the highs right here, right? Just come up and sweep that region. So to see something like that where you actually come through and then get a decent little pullback, let's just throw on a pretend gold pocket here again, right? Let's just say you get something like that. Maybe you push it a little higher or whatever, and you come back down and back test that range high. Very possible, right? Once again, knock out essentially, good little squeeze to the upside, knock out all the shorts right in this region. If there's anybody still holding the shorts, but whatever. Comes through, sweeps that, comes back down, knock out any kind of late longers, right, in that regard. And that's where you'd really want to see the reaction, is to come back down and back test this range high. Potentially we get a little push into that gold pocket, but this is what I'd be looking for out of Chainlink, and then the move up towards that yearly pivot, something of that nature. Now it's not to say that we can't just come through and just start living above the quarterly and then just make our way up to the next level. That's also, on the cards. This is just something that, we see quite often. And I think XRP was actually a really good example of this recently. It was actually a picture perfect example. So what did you get? You had all this volume building up for almost a year here. This was actually an old quarter when this rotated, right? We were looking for this. This was Q2, I believe, of last year. Just rotated the range to the high. So back in here, and I included all this in the overall range here. Got the breakout, ran it up to the quarterly level, back all the way down. So literally very similar to Chainlink, not in the sense of taking the highs, but just getting a decent little move to the upside. People were getting really excited right here. I think we came up and tagged like 50 cents just about. Then it got a pretty drastic pullback, right? About 15%. It's pretty big. What did we do? Came back tested the overall range high, boom, and then we ran it up. So yearly pivot was in that region, major quarterly level that, we identified as well. After this, it's, pretty much going to the gold pocket, 70 cents, give or take. But that is all I've got for everybody. Nice, short, sweet, 20 minutes or less. Hope you all enjoy your Friday, rest of your March, rest of your quarter, Q1 here. As we go into April, I think that we're still going to continue to see some really nice upside in the market for at least the next month here. If anybody's interested in joining the Leading Crypto Discord, you can have access to all of our analysis, our 15 video step-by-step trading academy, and everything that comes with that. Magic Internet Money, Max, myself, member-only market updates, all kinds of great content and educational experience there. You can head over to leadingcrypto.io. Our website is in the description box below. And just so you all know, on Monday, the 3rd of April, the subscriptions will be increasing. So if you do lock in the rate today, before the 3rd of April, those will be locked in. We offer quarterly and 6-month and yearly bundles that save you 10, 20, and 30%. And whatever tier you are in, you will lock that in going forward. So otherwise, I'll see you all in the next video. Hope you all have a great weekend. And till then, everybody, cheers. Bye.